This is Talk of the Devils, the athletic show dedicated to Manchester United. Coming up today, guess what we're going to talk about? We are going to talk about Arsenal 2, Manchester United 3. What a result again, what a performance again, what a feeling on Monday morning again. What a set of goals from Matheus Cunha and Patrick Dorgu, and Bryan Mbeumo wasn't bad either, was it? We're going to pour over every single detail and talk about exactly how Michael Carrick has had this impact on this team so quickly. We're here, there and everywhere this morning. Laurie's with me here in the studio in Manchester, Andy's at home, and Carl's in London. Smiling, all of them.
You can't help but smile, can you? I think I'll be wearing a smile all week.
I am floating on air. I've hit the Cunha dance 3 times already this morning. And look, if I hit the Cunha dance in front of you this week, you have to join in or just laugh and go, okay, Carl, well done, because I'm going to be doing it a lot.
I'll take the second option. It's surfing though, isn't it? Is it actually a dance, or is it just him pretending to surf?
It's both. It's just,
okay.
It's avant-garde.
It's whatever you take from
Cunha.
it. It's pure joy, unadulterated joy. Andy, are you smiling as well?
I'm buzzing, mate. Probably the best week of the season, beating City, then beating Arsenal, and beating the team who were second and the team who were first, beating them away from home, first time in ages, fantastic goals, the manner of the game, absolutely buzzing. We should enjoy the moments like this because there've been too few of them this season or in Manchester United's recent history. Congratulations to Michael Carrick, his staff and all the players.
No question about that. I can't remember the last time, Laurie, we were sat in this studio and all that we had to talk about was positive. It feels like we've been treading on eggshells, trying to dissect issues, trying to work out what was going wrong. Where's all that gone?
Well, I was speaking to some people and they're saying that this is actually the best 8 days supporting United in years. And I sort of said, well, what about trophies? And yeah, well, actually, that's obviously, in terms of one-off occasions.
That's the best day.
That's the best day.
Yeah.
But from where United were and the sense of disarray, the sense of concern around it, to now back-to-back victories against 2 proper teams.
Best teams in the country. Yeah. Top 2, yeah.
In a way that is of Manchester United heritage, which we can maybe get a bit more into. You don't know exactly what it is.
Doesn't exist, Laurie.
Well, listen, Carl's piece this morning, I thought on The Athletic nailed it in terms of, you know what it is when you see it at least. And certainly the kind of character and the resilience shown at the Emirates spoke to that hugely, in that you go behind, early on, you come back from that, and then to concede the goal in, I would say, really unfortunate circumstances, to then go again straight away. I think one thing actually that really stood out for me in that period was how calm United players looked, and the substitutions that Carrick had made enabled it so that actually they didn't really need to reset much, just go back out and play. You've got players on the ball that are comfortable with it. You've got attacking players on the pitch. You've got Matheus Cunha with the bit between his teeth again off the bench. And yeah, there's elements to it that we can maybe dive into a little bit more, but it was a magnificent occasion. And obviously I've decided to wear a black shirt for the first time in a while in tribute because, as Carl correctly predicted, get the black kit out and it'll all be sorted.
Yeah, Carl, you did predict that. I was a little bit concerned, I'll be honest, because the yellow socks felt like a bad omen to me. So we talked about this a few weeks ago, didn't we? When they did yellow shorts and socks for Brentford, they got beat. When they did yellow socks for Nottingham Forest, they drew. Then they wore all black at Wolves and battered them. So when I saw the socks, I was like, it's only going to be a draw. But how wrong was I?
Only a draw. Look at us. This is ridiculous. What a turnaround. One thing I think I was thinking about a lot leaving the Emirates last night was how many times this season we spoke about the 1-0 defeat to Arsenal as a good thing. And I think I said it after the Newcastle game, that it quite annoyed me how Ruben Amorim would bring it up, because a Manchester United head coach should not be bragging about a defeat, and nor should they be bragging about a defeat to Arsenal. A Manchester United head coach goes out there and beats Arsenal. And we can talk about United DNA, we can talk about United way, and I'll reveal go behind the curtain a little bit. Liam Thum and I have been working on a piece that was originally 2,000 words long about the Manchester United way and how thinking this way is harmful. And yet Carrick in 2 weeks has just basically torched me, given me reason to torch it, because what is United DNA? That. What are Manchester United? They're the big team that big teams are afraid of playing. Why? Because they win football games. How? Because they do it whichever way it needs to get done. And I feel like Manchester United are more like Manchester United again. I'm not going to say they're back. I'm not going to say it's going to be Michael Carrick's got to be their coach. But I look at Manchester United playing against Arsenal in black in the Emirates, and Arsenal fans are absolutely fuming at the things we are doing. And there's just a big smile on my face going, all is right with the world once again.
Carl, you mentioned the smile on your face. I think we can share the picture that you put in the Talk of the Devils WhatsApp group. I'm sorry if you're listening to this on the podcast. Go and have a look at YouTube if you want to see Carl's face. So just to sort of paint the picture, you're sat in a press box trying your best to be ultra professional at this point, and you just got a little bit carried away.
Yeah, I've made some noises in the past. And yeah, look, three goals, 3 points in the pocket. Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
That's like Jose Mourinho.
Playing against Arsenal means a lot to me. And United did it in a way that felt like Manchester United. And that was just chicken soup for my soul.
Did you especially like the bit where Harry Maguire manhandled Gabriel, the architect of that little sort of riff that you did there, Carl? I mean, like he did with Bernardo Silva against City, there was obviously a more physical altercation with Gabriel. Just get away from me, get away. And it just sort of showed the kind of muscle that I think United, to speak to Carl's earlier point, different ways that United could historically beat teams. It could be with power, it could be with a few kicks, it could be with skill and quality goals, which I think you sort of saw there against Arsenal.
Aggression. Proper aggression.
Power,
again.
Authority.
And I said it last week, but I didn't realise how much we'd missed them being aggressive in those ways. Not just without the ball as well in terms of the challenges, but even in the first half when it wasn't quite clicking on the break, still that aggression to make those runs and push Arsenal back. It didn't quite work, and obviously in the end, United pressing kind of brought about the goal, but proper, genuine aggression in the team. And again, that's something to get behind. That's something to latch on to.
Well, it's purposeful. It feels like there's a reason behind what they're doing. And yeah, even though they did go behind, Arsenal looked nervous because United were testing them with the kind of passes in behind maybe, or Mbeumo's runs in behind. And obviously that's how they get the first goal. But even then, obviously into the second half, and I mean, Dorgu's goal is just out of this world, isn't it? You can't really legislate for that, I don't think. Although obviously we've seen signs. He's always struck the ball very cleanly, hasn't he? I think I remember, was it his debut where he hit the post from distance? At least Arsenal
at home hit the
this
post
season.
from distance,
yeah. So he's got that sort of ability to strike a ball cleanly in him. But yeah, just anyway, the kind of purposeful run in that move as well. And then even for the winner, you've got a high ball. So Sesko's come on. So, Carrick could have put on a defensive player when Dorgu had to go off. No, I'm going to put Sesko on and Cunha onto the left. And this is United winning 2-1 here. So it would have been a sort of, we've seen this before, haven't we, where defensive substitutions have been made in those circumstances.
Before,
I can't remember anymore at the moment. But Sesko comes on and he wins the high ball. And then you've got Kobbie Mainoo, who actually is playing forwards. And then he's making the run as well. He was available for the return pass from Cunha if Cunha didn't decide to just absolutely smack it from 25 yards. I don't know how he got that much power into his shot with the side foot. But anyway, he likes to try shots from outside the area. And that was a beautiful occasion when it came to fulfillment and success and jubilation for the away fans and the players.
So many positives, Andy. It's difficult to know where to start with the conversation, to be honest. We've kind of started it already in terms of getting into the detail, but there's just so much about that performance to like. Yeah.
A nice little stat. Manchester United have got the longest unbeaten record now in the Premier League. A whole 6 matches since Manchester United lost a game against Villa. There's loads of positive stats around it. The lads are right to talk about the aggression, to talk about the performance, to talk about the goals. I'm sure Matheus Cunha was very frustrated being on the bench, but he came on and he will have left that stadium with a smile. Patrick Dorgu, Carl and I did a big piece on him last week. I spoke to people in Italy and Denmark and in Manchester. And the timing of that was really good because he's in a sweet moment. He did very well against Manchester City. I thought he was actually quite sloppy at times in the first half against Arsenal, but that goal was just wondrous, absolutely brilliant. And I hope that he's not injured. I was a little concerned when he went off. Arsenal were easily the most dominant team for 30 minutes, but Manchester United have got something under Michael Carrick, 2 games in, beating the top team, beating the second team. And there is a buzz and results. If you compare where we felt only 2 weeks ago after that Brighton game, the lift under Carrick has been significant. we'll keep saying those words. Nobody's getting carried away, and they're not doing. But United have been threatening to touch fourth all season, finally reached it last week briefly after beating City, but following that win against Arsenal, and now I'm not going to say safely in fourth because there's a much bigger gap to the teams above than there is to the chasing pack below, and one of them below is Fulham, who's Manchester United's next game. But we should just enjoy that. So many good performances all over the pitch. Casemiro, Harry Maguire. Casemiro's going. Maguire, we don't know whether he's going to be here next season. Two huge performances. And Carl's point about it being Manchester United is absolutely right. The name has not been justified in so many recent games, especially at Arsenal. I remember leaving the ground last year with Laurie, and the year before that, and it was just another defeat against Arsenal away. And picking out little bits of positives. And
sorry, Andy, but don't you think that when Arsenal equalise, I'm sort of thinking, surely not again, because it's always late goals. It was always kind of scruffy goals almost. Were you fearing that?
Yeah, I would have settled for a draw yesterday before the game, and after 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes, to 75 minutes, I'm going, just end this game now. Just, praying for Arsenal not to score. But when they did equalise, United hit them again. And Kobbie Mainoo's another player who we should mention. I thought he was very good against City, very good again, and influential, combining with Casemiro, with Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes is just an assist machine. But in the summer, United identified attackers as the priority because there was a lack of goals last year. And they were vindicated. Look who scored the goals. Mbeumo, Cunha and Dorgu. All relatively recent signings. And the next priority is to shore up the defence, because I'm never going to complain about conceding 2 in a game where we've won 3-2. Away at top of the league, but United have conceded 34 goals. It's significantly more than the teams around them, but that is the only slight negative I'm going to give you today. It was a brilliant, brilliant performance.
I didn't take it as a negative, to be honest.
It just added to the
drama, didn't it?
You're not getting your negativity buzzer out.
Oh, yeah, if I had one, I would, actually. You're not allowed to do that. Even minor points of negativity are not allowed around here. Good point, Laurie. Yeah, I should get that again, shouldn't I? Just for a treat in the studio. It feels like the moment where we can actually do that again, because for so long, you were almost pressing positivity buzzers, weren't we, Carl, to be honest? We were trying to find positives maybe where there weren't positives. Just looking at it as a moment for United as well. We'll talk a little bit later about what comes next and all the different ways in which Carrick has been able to do this. But I think we're allowed just to live in the moment for a little while, aren't we, Carl? We talked about this a bit in the build-up to the game, but just actually having the time to be able to just say that was great and talk to people about that, rather than the conversation starting about almost what happens next. I'm not talking about the Fulham game. I mean, the end of the season. I mean, permanent managers, all that sort of stuff. Can we not just enjoy this moment and revel in it a little bit longer?
Yeah, look, you have to enjoy every small victory that comes along, because there's no guarantee when the next one is going to arrive. It's something someone told me about the serious things in life, but I'm now adopting it to Manchester United, because the last 20 months...
It's felt like a serious thing in life.
Yeah, the last 20 months, there was no guarantee United were going to win football matches, and not least win them back to back. That Arsenal team is very good. They are currently very nervous and anxious because they're not quite sure if they're going to get across the finish line. But there was a moment quite early on, I'd say first 20 minutes, where United are trying to generate a counter-attack from a corner kick, and Yuri and Timber just scampers down the wing and just clamps Mainoo, and you're going, okay, different challenge compared to Manchester City. It's not going to be as open. William Saliba is basically stood on top of Bruno Fernandes at all points in time, so Fernandes can't get a sniff. United are going to have to be clever. There were 2 or 3 bits in the first half. I was sat next to James McNicholas, one of our Arsenal reporters, and United had the ball, and Arsenal was set up in their out-of-possession shape, and I basically started laughing because it was so well organised, and you're going, this team just strangles the life out of you. So when Dorgu's in 2 minds for that opening goal, in that he wants to do a header to get it out, but then goes, if I head it out, maybe is that going to be a corner kick for Arsenal, and that's going to be a real difficult thing? Or do I try and head it this way and see what happens next? So the ball just goes up and then you have that melee, and then Arsenal get their opening goal. And my fear was Arsenal with their opening goal, United chasing the game, Arsenal going to go make it 2-0, make it 3-0, and it's going to be really, really dangerous. But look, we've talked about luck. We've spoken about fortune. Sometimes you get Zubimendi making a bad pass across his goal, and Mbeumo's in the right position at the right time. And it's Mbeumo. It's not a player that perhaps doesn't really expect that in a United shirt. It's the exact attacker you want to get the ball in the right position. And I think the great thing about Mbeumo's goal is that he has the awareness of mind to cut onto his weaker foot when everyone's expecting him to shoot first time on his left foot. He goes up to Raya like, nope, thanks for the gift. I'm not going to panic. I'm going to do everything in my power to maximise the chance to score. And then from there, there's the momentum swing. And United just grow. There's just a little bit more space on the ball. And that's all you need when you've got players like Bruno Fernandes, players like Casemiro. Let me know when you want to talk about Dorgu, because I could speak about that celebration and goal for a very long time.
We will definitely do that in just a moment, but you've mentioned Mbeumo. Let's stick on him for the moment. Andy, I was quite surprised with Arsenal. Maybe not as surprised as if it was other teams in this position, but I thought it was odd that at 1-0 they did start to get edgy. That was almost the moment where their game wobbled a little bit. I actually thought United had a moment just before Arsenal scored that first goal where it was a very tough opening 20 minutes or so, but it looked like they were just beginning to emerge from that when the first goal came. But then suddenly it was Arsenal who were nervous. I mean, even the passage of play where Zubimendi gives the ball away, I saw an analysis of it on Match of the Day last night. I'm watching Match of the Day again. That's what Michael Carrick has done. I'm staying up on Sunday nights to watch the highlights, even though I've already seen it several times, where they sort of picked out the opportunities that Arsenal had in that moment to do different things and be a little bit braver, and almost they were a little bit passive and taking the easy option. And United really took advantage of that. And that's another thing, I think, from these couple of matches, when there has been any doubt, they've emerged from it and been fine, and how many times have we seen across the last couple of seasons that when there's been doubt, that doubt has led to setbacks. It's led to United conceding, losing games. There's a resilience to this bunch that has been built over the space of 2 matches. Maybe it was in there already. Maybe it's just been about bringing it out. But let's talk about Mbeumo. So 50 Premier League goals for him. That was his 8th for Manchester United. He's the first United player to score against Arsenal, Manchester City and Liverpool in his debut season since Robin van Persie, which is a great omen. And you just get the sense that he is actually a big game player, and that's exactly the type of profile that United need.
He is, and he's the top scorer, and he was missed when he went to AFCON, and Michael Carrick has benefited from the players coming back from there, and players like Martinez coming back and being important. I think you're quite right to enjoy and savour a win against Arsenal. Has been too few of these moments. And also your point about having a couple of chances, even though Arsenal were dominant after in the first half an hour, Bruno Fernandes shot wide a couple of times. This is Manchester United playing against the top teams. It's where they have between 32 and 42% of possession and try and hit teams on the break. The key is that they've got the players who are clinical enough to hit teams on the break. Did it against Manchester City, did it against Arsenal, fantastic finishes. Mbeumo was this Premier League proven player who United really wanted. United looked at Antoine Semenyo and decided that the priority would be last summer for Bryan Mbeumo, and it dragged on for far too long, and we covered it in great detail. But I think he's a very positive asset in the dressing room. There's been some tricky characters in that dressing room, and sometimes that dressing room can still be complex because you've got these huge egos and these players who've got to the level they're at for a reason, and it's not all rosy all the time. But it's a much better place than it was a year ago. And we interviewed him pre-season in Chicago, and it really sort of calm, measured piano chess playing. I think he's had a very good first season. And he tried that chip just before half time. I think he saw Raya off his line and had a go for something like that. And why not? As you said, he scored against City and Liverpool and Arsenal, and not just that, Arsenal have conceded 6 goals at home this season. So to hit them with 3 and for him to combine well, which he does with the players around him, I still actually think there's a lot of room for improvement. I think that Dorgu is starting to come more into his own, the combinations around him. In an idealised world, Manchester United get a couple of new midfielders who are even better. But that's one for the future. Mbeumo, in answer to your question, I think has had a very good first season. Not always been fantastic, nor has Cunha. And that leads me to think that with a bit more confidence and a better team and a team spirit and a manager, I dare say, then they can all be even better.
Carl, talk to me about Patrick Dorgu.
Oh, what a boy. What a boy. I've really warmed to him, and I'm really enjoying this turnaround he's having. The thing I really like is after he hits that goal, runs over, shakes hands with Mbeumo. I can't believe I've done this. And he runs over and he tries to shake hands with Fernandes to say thank you. And Fernandes like, what are you doing? Get over there. Celebrate properly. Goes for his little knee slide. Casemiro's pumping him in the chest. Dallow's doing his, usual high fives. You've got Ahmad going, we're not worthy. And he turns to the camera. Dorgu turns to the camera and he does a little sigh like, wow. And I've watched it at least 6 times now. And it's this really fun thing of Dorgu doesn't know how good he is yet, does he? He is 21. He is just about scratching the surface of his own potential. In late November, Ruben Amorim said there's a nervousness to him every time he touches the ball. And yes, under Amorim, he did improve. I think he was really, really good against Newcastle when he also scored another goal of the season, goal of the month contender. And I pointed out again in the defeat to Aston Villa, I thought he was really good, sort of beginning to understand the processes needed to get past Premier League players. And now look at him. It's just Dorgu's recent form is a really good example of the power of confidence. He's got a little bit of wind behind his sails. And the fact that I don't know what's going to happen next, but for the next 15 Premier League matches, Dorgu is going to play football with more of a smile on his face. That nervousness, that anxiety that Amorim described is not there in the same way that it was in November. And that's just a lovely feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And speaking to people who know him, the suggestion is that the comment from Amorim didn't set him back. It was actually something that he took on board and tried to turn into a positive, Laurie. I mean, can we just talk about the strike? Because I think you compared it to Tony Yeboah, didn't you?
It just the way it clips the bar, goes down, bounces into the side net. It has an extra beauty for me when a goal does that because it just proves that it's unsavable.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody anticipated him even really trying the shot from there. And then once he does hit it, for it to go in like that. And some of the reactions I've seen online, I know what my reaction was like, but I've seen some of the kind of celebration reaction and the kind of look of disbelief on people's faces is a joy to behold, really. But obviously, like I say, he's got that kind of technique in him. And I mean, when they were trying to chalk it off for handball, I was like, what have we become? What is this?
Can you imagine if they'd actually chalked it off?
Imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that United have still hit 3 goals back-to-back games, aren't I? So, after they've, for some reason, chalked off Mason Mount's goal. So if they were trying to do that again, I probably would have marched down to Stockley Park and had some serious words. But anyway, it just the interchange with Bruno. Clearly, he is somebody. It's an interesting one, right? Because when it was left wing back, and I've had my doubts about the kind of, I suppose, technical quality sometimes of his play, but the quick feet in that passage was certainly there to behold. But now it's going to be a different system, isn't it? So left wing, is that the best position for him, really? I don't really... Is he a left back? I don't think so, because...
I wonder if you pick your games, so in matches where you need more attacking players, maybe at home when you're trying to unpick teams, perhaps he's an option for left back then. But he's like the Ji-sung Park almost. He's like the defensive attacking option. Yeah, okay. He can do a bit of both, can't he?
Yeah.
He can go out on the break and he can do that.
Well,
I mean, in
speaking
some
of
ways,
someone that scored at the Emirates, Ji-sung Park did that, didn't he? A few times.
But in some ways, Carl was saying, he doesn't know how good he is yet, and what's to come. In some ways, it's never going to get better than that. Scoring that goal away at Arsenal is like, my goodness
Hopefully
me.
he can kind of come back down to Carrington and be like, okay, back to the training pitches.
Let's do that again.
But it was Darren Fletcher, wasn't it, that put him on the left side because of the Luke Shaw situation. Luke Shaw, full-back, I think that's what he probably prefers, really, but can he still get up and down the pitch in that way? Dorgu provides that kind of solidity, so that has meant that Cunha in the Burnley game was shifted over to the right and then has been out of the team in Michael Carrick's first 2 Premier League games. So it does leave a bit of a conundrum. How does this develop? And obviously he had to come off, I think maybe cramp. I don't know if that was...
That's what Carrick said,
right,
yeah.
okay. So...
Yep, Carrick said cramp, and then I asked to double check and he said, hopefully, we'll see. He was clutching that hamstring in a way that had me a little bit worried.
It didn't look like that, did it? I know at one point I was like, oh, is it a hamstring? But it looked like cramp. But
done a lot of running.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's interesting that you've got a guy in Carrick who's not afraid to pick a team based on what he thinks is the best outcome for this match. And obviously, if you've got a guy that can then actually do that, Cunha's got to respond and deliver what he delivered. So there'll be different. Yeah, I agree with you. I think there'll be different selections for different sort of matches, but Dorgu has shown that he can adapt in different situations.
I think it's a benefit in some ways. I don't know if we're allowed to do this yet, but I think it's a benefit in some ways of Dorgu and Ahmad playing wing back as well, that they have got this greater sense of defensive responsibility from playing that role, where matches like that, where you need to double up on wingers, where you need to dig in and pull back in, they're able to do that, and they're aware of doing that as well. They don't need telling, they're straight back in of their own devices. I mean, Andy, you mentioned your piece you wrote before about Dorgu. There's depth to him, isn't there? I also heard about him watching clips of Patrice Evra to get a little bit of inspiration. And that's Bayern Munich away. That's Evra's goal there. And they actually did a bit of an exchange on social media where Laurie was talking about some of the Dorgu reactions. Evra's was up there. It was probably all of us in that moment celebrating and saying, Patrick, what have you done? And then he bit back and said, well, yeah, actually, I've been watching videos of you scoring at Bayern Munich. It's nice, isn't it? It's another thing to sort of revel in a little bit, because former players celebrating current players has not really been much of a feature of United season so far.
No, it's a good point. Former players being positive about current players. I spoke to Dorgu last month and he did mention Patrice, that goal in Munich, that 38 seconds of bliss where David Moyes just wanted the season to end right at that moment. Patrice Evra was a brilliant fullback for Manchester United. Patrick Dorgu is still young, he's still inexperienced. He's a signing who was made because Manchester United can't go out and get the best players in the world anymore. United would have signed Nuno Mendes from PSG. The economic reality is Manchester United have got to make compromises. But confidence, as one of you said about him, is absolutely key here. He's a very quiet lad. He's private. He's got a sort of small friendship group. And even the lads he was mates with, half of them left the club. Christian Eriksen, Scandinavian. Victor Lindelof, Scandinavian. They left the club. And he found it difficult settling in Manchester. He'd moved from southern Italy. Suddenly you're in Manchester in February, but believe it or not, it's not sunny every single day. Then again, he's from Copenhagen. It's not sunny there all the time. There's a feeling within the club that his decision-making has got to improve. That will come with age. That he's got to know, when to make the cross and what type of cross to make. So there's times where it was pointed out to me at Burnley, one of the stages, the Burnley defence got back. So he played the wrong ball in, but he also played 2 really good crosses in against Burnley away. Make better combinations with some of the players around him and just generally improve and become more consistent, which is the hardest thing for any young player. Young players are invariably inconsistent, but wonderful to see a young lad fly in and thrive in and just hit the ball like that. And he was played a lot when he first came under Ruben Amorim, and I think he's had his best couple of months for Manchester United. Another thing that was said to me is he needs to know when to make the running behind. So just little things, but there's a determination there on a professional level. I've not heard anything bad about him at all. So gets a big tick from me.
Just on the pundits point that you mentioned there, Andy, like obviously a lot's been made of it, right, in terms of the negativity perhaps, or the criticism that's been around and how that increases the pressure on the players. And that's certainly a factor, I think. But imagine if United actually win. I think the punditry around it and the ex-players, they'll want to build that up, and that could actually be rocket fuel for the players.
Yeah, and Gary Neville said, I think after the game, about them playing this way is going to create more of a connection with the former players, because some of their issue with what they were seeing, And I don't want this to be complete revisionism, because obviously some of it was certainly not about the way Manchester United were playing or the shape or anything like that. But I wonder if watching a United team who plays a similar way to how they used to do it actually would plug in a little bit more as well and get a bit more positivity from people.
You think so, wouldn't you? I think just because you'd feel more, of a... It's nostalgia, isn't it, to be honest? But it would feel more, this fits. This is what United should be about. And again, it's not
just nostalgia.
Ethereal. Yeah.
I genuinely don't believe it's just nostalgia. You watch that game and watch the way Manchester United play, watch the derby and watch the way Manchester United play. They have to continue doing it, but they are two brilliant examples. Carl's article's all over it on The Athletic as well today. They are two brilliant examples of how playing that way just plugs in everything. You have the power and the energy because everyone going to the match expects those types of things from the team. They expect them to win, clearly, as well. Not so much lately in some ways, but the features, the variability that you said, the unpredictability that Michael Carrick said a few weeks ago, going to the match, not knowing exactly what to expect, and actually going into that game, having a bit of belief that they can do something away at the best team in the country.
They should have belief as well now, shouldn't they? If you look at Arsenal's record and the fact they'd gone ahead 24 times in the season,
won every
single time. So to not only come back from that, but then again do it twice really with the last goal, that's got to give them huge belief. And obviously now it's a big test, right? Fulham, different set of circumstances. Can you get up for it?
What a sentence!
God, sorry, Carl, I interrupted you. Was that along the same lines as what you were thinking at Fulham? It's the big one now.
No, you're right. You're right. Fulham is a big test, and Fulham is going to be a time where we are going to see Michael Carrick's Manchester United play as the protagonists. We'll play closer to the 50%. If you remember what Andy's just said about possession counts. To go with what Ian said, this team right now is making the indescribable things of Manchester United more easy to describe. This sort of, but what makes Manchester United special? And you go, look at Cunha's celebration, right? Oh, but why did Manchester United make a big song and dance about their academy record? Okay, we got a kid called Mbeumo, and he just went to midfield and he's bossed things. He's nutmegged Declan Rice and he's helped set up a goal. Oh yeah, well you think you're so great because of this and this. And you're like, well, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we, where even in a terrible season, in a terrible decade of football, Manchester United have still been able to get back-to-back wins against the top two teams in England? And when you make the indescribable describable, you somehow just give a lift to everything, and then the impossible things become possible again. Because, good Lord, I had no idea Cunha was going to do that. I got my head up when the ball was in space with Fernandes. I went, oh, that's interesting. We got a bit of unbroken play. Oh! Delightful. Thank you very much, Cunha. That's not what I said. I said many swear words. But hey.
First goal scored by a substitute for Manchester United in the Premier League this season.
Is it really?
You're joking.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Before.
And there you go. That goes back to the classic Sir Alex Ferguson quote where he's saying the electricity in a dressing room after you've won a game late on, you have to risk it. You have to go for it, which is what those substitutions were about. And maybe a little hat tip to Steve Holland as well. I think I hear that he is... Andy's mate home and away that he used to go to matches with. No, he's not rising to that one. He is, providing a real good pivot with Carrick in terms of the tactical sort of side of things and being able on the coach, on the training pitches, so that Carrick can kind of take a step back and look at the whole view. But clearly, there's something quite nice going on there. But it was. I'm going to say this little anecdote because it was. I was at sort of kids football the other week and just before the derby actually, and Callum, who does a little bit of football coaching, was saying to me, it's a good analogy, I think. Under previous 18 months, and I don't want to sort of just totally trash what's happened, but he was saying it's a bit like when you go to a club, it's a new club, and you get all your mates to go, and you're just like, no, honestly, it'll kick in soon. It's a bit dead, and it's not really happening. And I appreciate this kind of sentiment, obviously, because I've been in that position.
Oh, you mean a nightclub?
We're in a nightclub. Yeah, sorry, Carl.
There we go.
Might be Monday morning, but we're in a nightclub.
You're getting the drinks in. You're thinking like, this is honestly, it's a new club. Just give it time. It's going to happen. It's going to click. The music's gonna hit and you're gonna start dancing, and it just never really happens. And then I was thinking, actually it's like what we've got now. You go back to that place that you used to go to as a teenager and you're like, oh, this feels right. The music's popping,
it's midnight.
You've got your early 2000s tunes on. You've got your Craig David, you got your Nelly.
Don't know if I pick those two, but okay, that's fine. Whatever floats your boat. anything can float our boats this morning, can't it? We'll stick anything on and dance to it. Right, let's just take a bit more of a zoom out. Andy, how has Michael Carrick done this?
He's not been Ruben Amorim, and I don't say that as a disservice to Amorim. I think when any coach goes, he leaves in difficult circumstances. That's why they lose their job, and he just blew it up towards the end. I think Michael's demeanour is very different. I think he's calm. I think he's bright. I think Laurie's point about the coaching staff is absolutely bang on. One criticism of Ruben Amorim's coaching staff was very little was known about them. There was perhaps a lack of experience there. Whether you love or loathe Steve Holland, he's a hugely respected coach. I don't know Jonathan Woodgate. I spoke to people about him. Michael Carrick clearly trusts him. Johnny Evans is obviously the best coach in the world, and would have been no issue if he would have come out of retirement and come on for the last 10 minutes away at Arsenal.
4-2 then.
I think an extremely emotional football club, it's good to have a manager who's emotionally very balanced like Michael Carrick is. Clearly he's going to enjoy the moments, and in private, a little smile at some of the critics who've been absolutely hammering Manchester United. And there's been plenty of them, and plenty of receipts are being kept there as well. Only before the derby last week, there was an article about how Manchester United have become a Mickey Mouse club, absolutely finished, and they'll just sort of melt away as Manchester United win matches. I think Carrick's relationship with Jason Wilcox is a new one. They didn't really know each other. Jason knew Ruud van Nistelrooy, for example. That's why you needed to meet Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Michael Carrick. I wouldn't be surprised if that works, knowing what I do of their personalities. The right man at the right moment. Sometimes things are just meant to be, and it's only been 2 games, and lose the next 3 matches and everything changes again. And I think United fans are holding a bit back because they saw what happened with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I'm not saying that as a negative, because we saw some of the best football post-Ferguson under Solskjaer, but just how it all ended. So
I'm troubled a bit, Andy, by that. I'm troubled by the idea that because of what happened with Solskjaer, that they shouldn't look at this option. I don't think Michael Carrick should be appointed Manchester United manager. I mean, the feeling I have this morning, give him the job, but I don't mean that. I'm just being playful. But what happened with Solskjaer, it's not a negative. I don't really understand how it's just written off like, well, you saw what happened with Ole. Well, actually, they finished second. They should have won the Europa League if it wasn't for a ridiculous penalty shootout. It felt like they were really onto something at the start of his final season, and it went wrong for different reasons. So I'm not sure that just saying because, they've done it with Solskjaer once, they shouldn't do it again. I think they should be completely open-minded. They should take the time. They should see what happens in the remainder of this season, do the work in the background that they should be doing anyway, proper due diligence on who the options are, who's interested, what their Manchester United should look like. But I don't think they should just rule Michael Carrick out. The idea that Roy Keane said they could win every game the rest of the season and not give him the job, what? That's just nonsensical. His job is to make Manchester United win. And if he does that 15 games in a row, they might even win the bloody league. That's like how ridiculous that statement is. I just think there needs to be a calmness to it. And I hope that that's what they'll do.
Michael Carrick might be the right man to manage Manchester United. We don't know the answer to that. He also is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Those two are really close, really, really close mates, but they are different. They do things differently. Ole was thinking of Steve Holland because along with Michael Carrick, the three of them have been working as UEFA's technical observers this year. They know each other's body of work really well. And I think Michael Carrick should be judged as the individual that he is. Clearly the team with him are important to him, but one person has to take responsibility. One person will get the praise and the criticism in the main when the team wins or lose. And we do have this period where we can enjoy it. The target for this season is European football. At the moment, Manchester United are on target to reach that. But as we've seen throughout this season, one unfortunate hallmark of it has been, for every positive, there's usually been a negative. If he can change that in the remaining months of the season, then that's something that Ruben Amorim was unable to do.
I don't think these 2 victories have been very nice. Big uplift, big smiles on faces. I I don't think these 2 victories should mean Manchester United are cancelling any meetings they're trying to have with future permanent head coaches.
You're right, Carl.
However, I also think if Michael Carrick can continue this form, it's going to create a situation where Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada are going to have the meeting. So, yeah, let's keep Michael Carrick in the PS range or the footnote range of interviews right now. It is not, keep it in pencil, not yet in pen. Don't cancel any meetings you've got with anyone else or any other managers who you think might be at the World Cup or might be out of contract at the end of the Premier League season. But it's an option, and that's a nice problem, as football managers like to say.
Yeah, that's
Michael
where I think
Carrick
the
is creating
sentiment.
a nice problem.
That's where I think the sentiment of what Keane said does make a little bit of sense, where you need a proven winner, you need someone who's been around the block a few times. On paper, at least, that's the type of person that United should be going for. We've said that so many times. But there is a bit of magic about Michael Carrick's Manchester United in these 2 games. It has to continue. Clearly, it has to continue. It can't be just about these 2 matches. But yeah, he's sort of reevaluating what people think the Manchester United manager needs to be with these 2 games. And if that continues, then it'll be part of the conversation, surely.
I do think that United are just a bit different. I'd probably class Liverpool in the same breath in terms of what they need from their manager and the understanding of the scale of the club. I would say Barcelona and maybe Real Madrid, but Real Madrid are kind of, they just go through managers really. They need a certain type of manager, but it doesn't have to.
They don't need to fail that much. Just get rid of them anyway. Yeah.
So I do think there's the skills that Carrick has within him from being at the club as a player and having all that success and also some turmoil at the end, the disturbance of having Sir Alex Ferguson retire and then coming back as a coach as well. That's a very specific set of skills that he will have built up over his time. And okay, you go, well, what to do with Middlesbrough? He didn't get them promoted. So, okay, is that a failure? Maybe that is. But at the same time, it's not like he's gone in there and they definitely overachieved to begin with. So you've seen, and there's different reasons, maybe, players get sold, whatever. It's a hard thing, I think, to get a team promoted from the Championship. And then it's a different skill to manage a scale of club like Manchester United. Look at Thomas Frank at Tottenham at the moment, for example. Did brilliant work at Brentford. He was in the running for United at one point, wasn't he? And they are trying to get him out of the club straight away because he doesn't speak like a manager that they want to have helm the club. And also the style of football is kind of more like what Brentford would play than what they would kind of characterise as what they should play. So
Nick Miller wrote that his nickname's David Brentford among Spurs fans, which I've not heard before. Yeah.
Ruthless. Well, listen, as somebody that referenced David Brent, go get the black kit on my Instagram this weekend. I don't mind that reference maybe, but for example, Pep Guardiola, he had to start somewhere. I'm not saying that. You just compared
Michael Carrick to Pep Guardiola.
I'm not saying that he is Pep Guardiola.
He's just done it.
But I'm just saying there's a certain fabric within people's understanding of football that I do think in certain circumstances would work. And again, we don't know. They could go and lose to Fulham, and this could look a very foolish conversation to be having for sure. But I think my only point is just don't discount it just because he can't be him. And then when you look at the alternatives, Luis Enrique, he's obviously done it. Barcelona, PSG, top tier, but then Carlo Ancelotti, Thomas Tuchel, do these people, you don't know for sure it's going to work with those guys. Like you think, okay, that makes sense, but you don't know for sure. So that's why I'm sort of saying, to your point, just keep an open mind, enjoy the ride. I mean, what a ride it's been for the first sort of 10 days or whatever it's been of Michael Carrick's reign. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, there just needs to be a measure, Andy, doesn't there? And in some ways, we were joking before about building this Fulham game up, but in some ways we'll learn more about what Manchester United are going to be like under Michael Carrick in the remainder of this season in these next 2 matches. Fulham at home, Spurs at home. Both games very winnable. Both games where you'd expect Manchester United to be the protagonists. Both games where they provide the sort of ingredients where this team has failed so far this season.
Both games where Manchester United drew earlier on in the season, having taken the lead and played well for most of the first half, away at Fulham, away at Tottenham. Marco Silva was someone who Manchester United absolutely seriously considered before Ruben Amorim was appointed. Fulham are in form. Manchester United have struggled to break down teams below them in the league at home. There's so subjective, and Michael Carrick will be judged, more accurately after 10 games. But 3 little points to what you're saying there. Pep Guardiola, he managed a season at Barca B, but he had been a player at the club, like Carrick had been at Manchester United. And he went to Joan Laporta, the Barca president, and said, "You've not got the balls to appoint me." And he went, "All right, let's go for it then." And at the time, it was not a popular decision, but it was absolutely the right decision. 2006,
Can you imagine Carrick saying that to Jim?
2006, Sunderland needed, according to the local wisdom, and I knew a lad who played there, so I knew what was going on. They need someone who knew the Championship well, an experienced manager, to get Sunderland out of the Championship. Instead, they appointed someone called Roy Keane, who'd never managed before. Keane was a big success there, got them straight out of the Championship. Luis Enrique, I've advocated for him more than anybody on this any other manager on this podcast for years and years now. When I watched him as a player, interviewed him as a young manager, met him when he'd been sacked by Roma. Apparently he wasn't good enough. He was out of work 2013, spent a couple of hours with him. Best manager in the world now. Would someone like him want to go to Manchester United? You know, we all assume that everybody wants to join Manchester United, but I have my doubts. But if you get them into the Champions League, it suddenly becomes much more attractive to any potential manager. So many questions to answer, and I want Michael Carrick to carry on doing well. And the more he puts himself into the frame, then I don't think he'll find any arguments from Manchester United fans for that. But it's not a decision that needs to be made now.
Carl, Andy just mentioned the Champions League there. So United are in 4th place at the end of a match round, which is where they've been trying to get to all these games as we've been going through the season. 4 points ahead of Fulham. Obviously, they play next in 7th place. And the results went in United's favour over the weekend, with Brentford losing. That's a crazy sentence. Liverpool losing. Newcastle too, I suppose, who are part of this wider chasing pack. But it's beginning to look like it could be a 3-way fight for 4th and 5th between United, Liverpool and Chelsea. How much of an opportunity have they got now to make the Champions League? You've doubted it all year for the right reasons, clearly. But is this a point to reset our expectations?
Yeah, go on if you want to. I'm still saying if United finish higher than 8th, I'll be really surprised. So
still,
if United finish higher than 8th, I'll be really surprised. But look at the big smile on my face as I'm saying it now. In that
it's not the grimace it was at the start of the season. Anyway, yeah.
It's not a pain. Slog.
Different ways to finish 8th.
There are ways to finish 8th. This is a weird Premier League season. And I've said it multiple times. And if Casemiro can finish this season strongly, which is looking like he might do, if Bruno Fernandes can keep up this just relentless running. Again, this is a man who had the hamstring injury not too long ago, and he's just going over and over and over and over again. If Cunha can, this sort of substitute role he's had against City and against Arsenal now, that's really interesting to me. In that, is he going to go back into the first team against Fulham, or is he now your first pick off the bench when you need to get something new in there? There are loads of questions, but also the answers to some of these questions now, I feel a bit more positive and more confident when I go about trying to get you an answer. Whereas before, any sort of question you asked me about Manchester United, I always felt I was going, it's kind of complicated because you've got to do this, but before you do this, you've got to do this. And then, of course, you've got to realise that this is different than compared to this because this has wing-backs rather than this bit and this bit and this bit. And yeah, maybe it is a little bit weird that we're playing Bruno Fernandes, a player so good in and around the box, this player the deep, but Ruben Amorim wants to do it this way. So, look, can they do it in the Champions League? I feel a lot more positive than I did before the season started because a lot more of these questions have more straightforward answers. Not better answers, just more straightforward ones. There are still a bunch of questions in there. There are still a bunch of problems in there, but there's just a clarity, a more... I'm doing loads of claw gestures with my hands.
Simplicity to it, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The answers I'm trying to get feel quicker and easier to grasp than they did a month ago. Again, about pieces I've got hide in my back end, there's about 600 words on the Athletic website just called Shopping for Amorim, wingbacks. That is just probably never going to see the light of day. So
I can guarantee you that's not going to see the light of day, Carl. Is it on? Top 4? Top 5? Whatever it needs to be?
It's got to be, hasn't it? Yeah, I mean, I would now be surprised if United don't finish above 8th.
Oh, here we go.
Well, come on. Like, I think clearly there's been a level of quality in the squad the whole season, obviously with all the players fit and with all the players available, and certainly towards the end of Amorim's reign, it was a stretch, wasn't it, to get 11 players on the pitch, and obviously the bench was very youthful. But with this current squad, with these players, if they can maintain fitness and form, they are a match, obviously, clearly, for any team. So it's about actually doing it consistently against the more difficult opponents that they've had this season, which has been the teams that have maybe not given them so much space, not gone so toe-to-toe. Although, I mean, Arsenal's, it was just, you are right, they did overwhelm United, or not overwhelm, but they were really pressurising them to start with. United had kind of weathered that and they scored. But in the second half, they didn't really have much. It didn't seem to me that they were able to tease United apart. I think that was partly United structure, but also maybe Arsenal's nerves that were coming to the fore. I mean, the goal itself was like a rolling maul, wasn't it? Where they all like clambered over Lomans. And there's actually a bit that maybe it hadn't been picked up, but Cunha has to shove Ben White out the way to kind of get on the line, and Ben White's like off the pitch injured because he's clattered into the post when Cunha's clearing off the line.
The ones at the back stick.
Initially, so you've got all this kind of stuff anyway. So United aren't doing that at set pieces at least. But
they will. A word on Lomans as well. The amount of times he came out of his 6-yard box and when the ball was in the air going, I'm having this.
Yeah. Obviously, he missed the ball for the goal, but I think he got pushed quite hard.
Well, it didn't put him off either, which was encouraging, because even after that error, if it is an error, because there was a lot of pressure on him, he still was continuing to do it after that in the remainder of the game. So his steadiness helps this team unquestionably.
So I think you've got Carrick's calmness and you've got Lomans' calmness, and we all, I think, really appreciated Amorim's emotional side that we saw at times, but I wonder how much that does it translate in certain moments of games. Sometimes you need the emotion, sometimes you need to get angry at each other and sort of whip up something like they did against Lyon, where it's all chaotic and you need that. But it felt like in this game, that calmness really did help them, certainly, as I say, when it went to 2-2, right, okay, we'll reset, we'll go again. But they'll need, I guess, elements of both those sort of approaches in the games to come to see if they can actually finish in the top 4. But it feels on, just because Liverpool are still not great. Chelsea have definitely got deficiencies. It feels there to take.
Andy, final word, do you agree?
Yeah, I'd like to answer that question properly in a month's time, but things are definitely looking up. I think European football was and should be, and is now a very realistic target for Manchester United. Would I take Europa League football right now? I'm starting to hate myself because I'm starting to say no, because I'm getting excited thinking, if you just get into the Champions League, then there's this much extra money, blah, blah, blah. But we can do this podcast with a smile. It was a brilliant win against Arsenal. Bring it on. Keep the confidence high among the players, among the fans. And this is a bit unexpected from where we were 2 weeks ago after being knocked out the FA Cup against Brighton at home.
Amen to that, absolutely. Sorry, I've not got any of your questions in. There's been absolutely tons sent in over the last 24 hours since the result. I mean, someone should do a Manchester United Q&A, and that's exactly what we're going to do, and put it out later on this week. But enjoy the moment for the moment. Laurie, Andy, Carl, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you everyone for listening and watching along. Keep your eyes out for that Q&A later on in the week, and we'll be back to preview the Fulham game on Thursday as well. But enjoy the moment. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching this episode of Talk of the Devils. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you've not done already. Like the video and also get involved in the comments too, and click the bell to make sure that you never miss an episode with myself, Andy Mitten, Carl Anker and Laurie Whitwell. There's also our social channels at TOT Devils on Instagram, X and TikTok. Thanks for watching.